Well, I think don't just sit there thinking it's not going to happen to your family and you're sitting in a bubble. I think it's important that every single one of us is part of the personal safety awareness movement. Get yourself a copy of Safe Over Sorry. It's every kid's personal safety book. It should be part of yours as well. Yeah.
Okay. Hey guys, good evening, and thank you so much for joining us on another session of Dialogues That Matter, an interview series where we talk to change makers who are doing some great work in their own fields. Today, we carry forward the Women's Day month because we're celebrating International Women's Day this month. It was on the 8th of March. We are carrying that forward, and we're talking to two incredible women today, taking that tradition forward. I'm going to twist this a little bit. I generally introduce the panelists because we have two people today. I'm going to ask the two of you to quickly introduce each other and upturn learning by perhaps giving us two lines each about upturn learning.
Okay, let me introduce Sudha. I'll jump in first. So, the person right here next to me is Sadalini Devdassen, a very, very good friend, and someone I always look up to. We go back about 14 years since we met. She has had the opportunity to be a leader for HR for global teams and had a very, very rocketing career, which she chose to let go of after becoming a mom when she sort of decided that her daughter's early years are super important to her. And that's when also I had my second child, and we were exchanging notes about this whole momhood and everything. And we were always in touch. That's the funny part. And incidentally, just by chance, we spoke about it in 2018, and that's what happened. And that's why we are all here together today. It's Upturn Learning that brought Sudha and me together. Sudha is an incredible human being, and brings so much of a structure to what I think of sometimes, because I can be all over sometimes, and then she'll say, "Hey, we'll structure it." So that's something I truly love in this partnership, and I'm so happy we're here together today. And two lines about Upturn Learning from me. We are a community organization. We work on socially responsible topics. I will let Sudha say the rest of it. Over to you.
Thanks, Shruti, and thanks, Dialogues, for this. So there's so much to say about Aishu. When I met her the first time, I have to say that it was an interview, and it was such a clear win. Clearly, it didn't last more than 10 minutes, and I had her go through all rounds, finished fast, and then I said, "When can you join?" So she's one of those few people who walks into a room and she can take complete control, because she's full of ideas. She's full of energy, and if you have to be even if you're a saint, she'll make sure you're distracted because she's got that many fun ideas. And yeah, and I think that's the energy that brought me to Upturn. Yeah, we go back a long way. We've stayed in touch, and she keeps reminding me that, you know what, it's interesting, right? And that we've through the years we've stayed in touch, and I keep telling you about my life and you keep telling me about yours, and then one fine day here we are working together. So that's Aishu. She's a brilliant entrepreneur. She's a fantastic mom to two beautiful children, and she's got a very, very loving, doting husband. And so it's a complete joy working with her. So about Upturn, well, I think for us, Upturn is more of a belief. It's I think between the two of us, we when we talk about it, it sort of gets we become very personal about it, and I think that's what makes it fun.
Yeah.
Um, the company as such is about bringing more joy to work, and making the whole process of parenting and childhood more fun. So what can we do that is beyond the 8 hours of school, or beyond what your traditional parenting journey is all about, and introduce that to the entire process. And in the whole through it all, of course, keeping an eye out for those socially responsible topics, like personal safety, which means, if it means a book, sure, here we are. So yeah, that's us.
Absolutely. I think I can just watch the two of you talk, and we can all just listen. But this is what we stand for, right? We want to support each other. So, yeah, thank you for that introduction. And I'll get right to it, right? Let's start with the name, because Upturn Learning, the name is very unique. And I know it stands for what you do. They say what's in a name, but in your case, I think everything is in the name. So whoever wants to go, why don't you start by telling us why did you pick this name, Upturn Learning? And like you guys said, a lot of what you do comes from personal experiences. If you want to talk about that, but talk to us a little about the inception of Upturn Learning, and why was it important for you guys to make that your workspace, in the sense to work in this particular domain? Whoever wants to go first.
Entirely yours.
Okay, so it's a very simple story how Upturn actually came into existence. For some reason, I had this a huge thing for something that starts with U. Okay, I don't know why, it was just in my head. And that's when Urban Ladder was picking up, Upgrad was picking up. I know, there was this huge thing like something to
Right.
do with you. I was looking at multiple names, and we were, of course, discussing. And initially, I'd called it Untapped. Okay, it was supposed to be Untapped, and then I
Okay.
think we looked for the name or something, we didn't get it, and then I bumped into Upturn, and then there was no looking back. I stopped looking for names. Okay, I was like, on these 3-4 days of my life, I was like, what should we call it? What should we call it? And looking up multiple synonyms. That's how we do it, right? I mean, looking up synonyms of various words, looking up the meaning and what we want and stuff like that. So I saw Upturn, and that's partially why you'll see in some of our corporate presentations the word upturn, right, as it is in the dictionary, is how we put it in our presentation itself, because that's the first time I saw the name of my company in that format.
Right.
I saw it in the dictionary, and it stuck, and I didn't look for anything else after that. And Sudha instantly loved the name as well when we were discussing it first, and I think it had a zing to it. It meant, moving forward. It meant, progress. It meant, it's okay to take twists and turns. Everything is not like, straightforward. So all of these meanings sort of brought it all together, I would say. What was the other question? I forget. What was the
Why?
other
I mean, essentially, why was it centered around
Oh,
what you do, right? Why did you
yeah,
want to work in this space?
yeah. I'll let Sudha take that part of it. Why is it what it is?
So I think, you know the entire journey for us, and I think, Upturn as a company, if you know about some of the things that we do, and I can, that might sort of explain what we stand for. um, we're all about creating experiences. Okay. And when we say experiences, we don't like some words, like we don't like the word programs, we don't like the word
Event.
workshops, events. For us, it's about life should be an experience. And you need to be part of it. You need to, do it to genuinely feel it. And I think that's really what we're all about. So if you tell us to come and play somewhere, at a play space, we'll be there. We enjoy free play, we believe in it completely. So Upturn is really all about um, curating experiences for children and for parents. Okay. And what we do is we collaborate with world class resources. We want to bring in some of the best talent that exists, whether it's within the country, whether it's outside. We want to bring them in and ensure that everybody gets access to it. And that's really what it's all about. So the kind of topics that we choose are also very carefully sort of decided on. So safety being one of it, but it all started really with um, digital detox. Okay, and that's a big one for us. And funnily,
We
we're
know
on
that.
screen right now, and you know that, right, Shruti? But this entire addiction to screens, it's really something that we need to be far more responsible about. And sadly, the last one here, everybody's just been forced to, adapt to being far more tech savvy. And who knows what children are watching today, really, right? Who can keep tab? Who is able to keep control?
Yeah.
And ironically, Aishwarya's husband, actually, he heads security, for tech security for a company. So he's constantly telling us things that we just get nervous about, even hearing about it, right? But digital responsibility is something that we want to build awareness around. And how we do it is we make it about fun. Okay, and how we do it is introducing hobbies, introducing new skills that children can learn, instead of making it all preachy and saying, okay, stay away from screens, which nobody is going to do. They're not even going to listen to us, right? And for heaven's sake, we're on WhatsApp as well as, ourselves, and we
Yeah.
live our lives
Yeah.
on text. But the question is, can you be a little more responsible about it? And instead of spending that extra 1 hour in front of a device, do you think you as a family could be doing something a little more engaging, a little more, meaningful as a family or even as individuals, right? What can you do that honestly will you will benefit from? Because some of the things we've seen, Shruti, children, they start getting extremely restless when they're in front of screens, and parents, they don't quite associate it to screen time, but you'll see that children are sitting there, they're fidgety, they can't sit in one place, they're constantly facing, attention deficit issues. When they grow older with teenagers, it's about social issues. They don't like talking to others. They prefer to be left alone in front of their game. Leave them there for 10 hours a day. And we've worked with children and we do it, constantly. So I think, yeah, that's really what we do. So there's digital detox, there is personal safety, and the third big one for us is mental health, which is connected in many ways to both of these. But mental health for us in the realm of teenage mental health, really. So we do it using parents. We directly work with children. So we work with corporates. Wherever there are parents, wherever there are children, we're there. So whether it's corporates, whether it's schools, play spaces, we collaborate with them. So yeah, that's a long answer to your question. Aisha, do you want to
Yes,
say?
yes,
No, I
that's
think
the longer
you-
answer. Sorry, Aishwarya, you had something to add on
no,
to
I
that?
said she beautifully captured it because those really is are our key. But that's why we exist, and we've taken a good 3 years to find out why we exist and what we want to do. So I think that's great.
Yeah. I think what is definitely coming through is that what you do at Upturn Learning is centered towards experiential experiences, and more towards, of course, it's centered towards kids, young adults, and inevitably parents and caregivers, right? I just
Yeah.
want to probe a little further, which you did touch upon, Sadalini, also, is why is this the need of the hour? Of course, from what you're saying, it does come through that this is the need of the hour, right? To kind of tackle these situations with young adults and kids from that age itself. With that, do you want to perhaps delve into details of what you do? What are the other things that you do at Upturn Learning, and also bring in the whole idea of personal safety and awareness?
Sure. I think Aishu, you're working on a live case right now about digital detox. She's actually handling a specific issue. So why don't you talk about it?
Yeah. So if you look at it, Shruti, what we do is both Sudha and I are people who we believe that it's not a touch and go experience, whatever it
Yeah,
may be. It could be
yeah,
personal safety, it could be digital responsibility. We thought of various modalities. How do people want to seek support in both ways? And one of the things I see is parents really are confused at times. They need a sort of a connection. They don't directly reach out to a psychologist or a psychiatrist.
yeah,
They are scared to reach out. But when you call yourself a third space, a sort of a person available to talk to you, to connect you to the right people, they are a little bit more open. All right. So they know that there's this third person in between, but they don't mind it. They in fact like it. And today I know you can get the best child psychologist even on Practo But the point is, you don't want to just go there. The parent wants someone who they can talk to, do a few surveys, do a few interviews. It sort of becomes like consulting work for us. We do one-on-one work with families as well. We maintain confidentiality. We do a range of experiences. So we came up with this framework called 5 4 3 2 1, let's play. All right, and that's something that we came up ourselves, and we said this is what it looks like. It's very simple, but it's very hard to follow. And it managed to get some traction. It was a good read on Hindu. And then we have a program built around it, and then we do
Right.
consulting work around it as well. So
Okay.
that's one side of the story. The personal safety story, there are various modalities. So then I honestly, we've been sort of in a panic situation ever since we had our own children. And for me, it hit me real hard when the Blue Whale Challenge happened. And like she said, my husband's a cybersecurity professional. And he was like, what's going on? I mean, children are falling prey to things that we never imagined in our lives,
Yeah.
things that we can't even touch and feel. I mean, but it's scary. And then that's when we sort of started doing a SOS draft. Safe Over Sorry is the name of the program. We sort of drafted it. And so that was somebody, and like I told you, she gave up her career because her child's early years mattered so much. And every single time I spoke to her, Sudha, do you want, why don't you go back? And, she was in such a leading role. One thing I always heard from Sudha is, Aishu, I need my pair of eyes to see her. I mean, even if I have help, even if I have support, even if I have 500 people to help me, I want to be sure she's safe, and there's no such guarantee, because that's the primary caregiver's motive, right?
Yeah.
So, and then we said, okay, let's try a program. And it went off really well. We started with schools, we started with corporates, we did panel discussions, focus groups. And then we realized that it's a very deep topic and we need to be talking to a 5-year-old about it, right? There's a sort of a mismatch. You can just sit and play with a 5-year-old, or
Yeah.
you can talk super deep topics with a 40-year-old. But here's a mismatch: deep content, but 5-year-old. How do you do it? And that's when Sudha came up with this idea of the book. And she said, illustrated book. I think today that's our biggest winner, because every single person who's seen the book, and I'm sorry, Shruti, I haven't managed to courier a copy to you, but I would love for you to see the book. Yeah, there, she has it. That's the book, Shruti. And for us, we said it should not threaten a child. Today I see a lot of parents saying, oh, strangers are bad. You know what? A lot of times strangers are good as well. And a
Yeah.
lot of time it is our very own family member who's being a cause of abuse, which we don't realize. And we've all had a lot of these dents and rough edges, that auntie, this uncle, that brother, this friend, this neighbor. So many stories. And the Me Too campaign, my God, that was another thing in SOS, right? The number of people in our own circle who came out, and they said me too, and it was quite shocking. And a lot of times it is so how do you tell a child all these things? And this famous thing, right? We all know that a diaper was found in the museum where all the rape victims' clothes were hung. There was a burqa, there was salwar kameez, there was skirts, there were everything, and there was also a diaper.
Yeah.
So what are we talking about them? So victims are all over the place, and the cause, they are all over the place as well. So that's how we started thinking about it. And I'd like for Sudha to tell us a little bit about the book, because she's holding the book as well, and that's what we both are consistently living and breathing the last couple of years, and we want to have it reach as much as possible. Over to you, Sudha.
Yeah. So Safe Over Sorry is it's a book targeted at 4 to 7 year olds. Um, but what's interesting about it, and I'll start with how we call it, is every kid's personal safety book. That's what we truly believe. And we're hoping to not stop with just this age group of 4 to 7. We plan to have more, because, and the format might be different. It may not be a book. It might be something different, because with the teenager, you might need to try something else, right? Um, so the book is it's a fun, it's an interactive illustration based workbook that we want parents and children, or educators and children, to work on together. A child cannot be left with this book or any book about personal safety, himself or herself, because it is a sensitive topic. No matter what, however simple you make it, you still need to contextualize it for a child. They're going to walk away otherwise not understanding it,
Yeah.
and or understand, there's going to be a lot of misunderstanding around it, which you don't want, right? So
Yeah.
so the idea behind it is we believe that this should be part of every family's parenting toolkit and every classroom's reading. Yeah, so that's our goal. The goal is to take it to a minimum of 10,000 books this year. So we want to target schools, we want to target corporates. The idea behind all of this is, you know, in our society, Shruti, we talk about personal safety, but it's not something that's easily sort of discussed at homes. Um, as much as we should be doing it, or even in schools, if you look at it, right? It's sort of done at a cursory level and a check in the box. But for us, it's really all about changing the narrative. It's really about how can we make this topic. You can't stop a perpetrator, you cannot, but can you make a child understand that there are tools, there are things that you should be aware of as a child, to be more prepared. If you're ever in a potentially abusive situation, how can you be more prepared? How can you go and tell a safe family member or somebody? So who is that person? How do you find out? Do you know whether it's your teacher? Do you know if it's your dad, your mom? Who do you go and tell? So I think it's really about equipping children, but also making sure that this is started early, and something that we want to believe in, and we want everybody to believe in, which is, you got to start saying it early, you got to say it often, and you got to make it simple. That's very, very important, which is why with the book, which is why we said let's do it in the format of an illustrative book. We'll make it age appropriate. Children can draw, they can color, they can work through it with their parent or their educator, and it's there are 4 chapters in the book, and we cover very important chapters, but we've sort of started it simple with a simple topic and then taken it gradually to a slightly more complex topic. So we've started with safe and unsafe feelings. This is what children face every day in their everyday life. This is what they experience. Then we've moved on to looking at touches, safe and unsafe touch. What does a child do? Can they recognize an unsafe touch? That's the second topic. And then the third is, how do you deal with strangers? Like what Aishu said, many a time children assume that, no, I should not, because they've been told, right? Parents tell their children, you can't talk to strangers, but do they know that, okay, fine, they will be in situations where they have to talk to strangers. What do they do then, right? So that's the third. And the fourth is bullying. Big one. Bullying is something that children are unfortunately, it happens everywhere. So how do they stand up for themselves? So those are the 4 topics. As you can see, we enjoy talking about our book,
No,
and
no, absolutely. Yes.
and I'm going to show you the book again. That is the book. It's beautifully done. We had a fantastic team that worked with us. An illustrator, her name is Akanksha. She was in a different part of India. We had somebody who helped us with the content as well, in a different part of India. And so, yeah, we're very lucky that we have the book.
Yeah.
Right. I think definitely the title is so appropriate, right? Like when you bring up the topic about personal safety and awareness against the same, like you're saying, unless required, this topic doesn't come up because it's an uncomfortable conversation, right? So rather safe than sorry. So I think the title is very appropriate and it makes a lot of sense when we talk about personal safety. And I think both of you did talk about how it's a mammoth task, right? And also a responsibility to kind of, in simple words, bring this forward to a child and also make it interesting and not very daunting or overwhelming on the child, right? So what was, I'm curious, and also I'm sure because of the experiences that the two of you share and the interactions that you have with kids and parents, I'm sure you dwelled a lot on research and the kind of interactions that you had. Do you want to kind of give us an insight into what kind of research went into this? How did you narrow down on these are the 4 chapters or these are the 4 primary things that we need to talk about for this particular age group? And what was the process like to co-author? Like you guys have been mentioning, you guys have been friends for a while. You share your lives and what's happening with each other every now and then. You also own a company together. But what was it like to co-author a book together? If you whoever wants to go.
I'll go first on this one. So I think the whole experience of co-authoring, I think I'd like to talk about that a bit, because I think it comes with a lot of understanding. It's not something that even just two friends can do. I think there is so much room for communication and confusion when you co-author a book. But so that's made me feel absolutely comfortable. We both have our own struggles personally as mums. Literally, you won't believe, Shruti, this book has been written in between ballet classes and therapy and car rides. And it's not like we locked ourselves up like a corporate career and said, oh, let's block a meeting room and pick up a cup of coffee and do our first draft today. Nothing. It has
Yeah.
happened amidst a lot of chaos. And that's where there needs to be an opportunity for one to understand the other. And I'm also a special needs parent, so I think Sudha has been very considerate and understanding, because she knows that we both had the concepts in place together, we both have our vision in place together. So she took the whole process of having it fully finished into its edited version, working with the publishers. And and she has a hawk's eye. Okay, so that's known for her detail orientation. So I was super comfortable that she sees it, and if it comes out of her review, I knew it would be a world class product, because my strengths are different. My strengths are, how can it be interactive, how can we make it activity based. So the strengths are like, what's the content, what are we going to tell, what's the objective. So that's what sort of brought us together. She didn't leave anything fuzzy for the reader to assume. If you look at the book, we've made sure that there are no assumptions in the book. It's sort of well knit that way. So that's the process of co-authoring. And for anyone who wants to do such a project, especially women to women entrepreneurs who work together, people who are co-founders, one of the things I would say is, it's all about playing on each other's strengths and being very, very considerate about each other's struggles. I think that's exactly what's helped us. And the other part that I'd like to talk about is, in the whole realm of Upturn per se, when we do things together, we've also looked at what's happening all over the world. That's something we've done. We've always taken global perspective. So your first part of the question was about that. So what we did is we went ahead and researched what kind of content exists today. There have been amazing personal safety, video based content, which is done right in the 80s and the 90s. But today it's not valid, because the more modalities have changed. People are not able to
Right.
sit and watch such long videos. But we took the goodness out of many collaborations. We spoke to them openly. We said, hey, we're coming up with a book. So we've given our thanks to them even in the book. So our ability to look at it as a global thing and understand what currently exists, and then try to fill the gaps, that's the part that has really worked for us. And that's what took time. So yeah, Sudha.
Right. I think if I can just sort of add, I think
Yeah,
the research took us time. Okay, I have
yeah,
to say it did take us time. We did have a lot of initial material that we went through, and we also wrote up, in different formats, and we played around with. We were fortunate to find some very good mentors in the process, and I think that we had one such person was in fact based out of the US. She runs an organization for the last 30 years, an NGO, and she collaborated with us in terms of providing guidance. Her name is Dr. Cheryl Fraser. We have a lady in Bangalore itself, Dr. Ashwini, who's in fact again a world-renowned psychologist. She is a counselor. She works on prevention of sexual abuse. So she was able to share firsthand, case studies with us. We did a lot of focus group interviews. We spoke to parents. We spoke to a lot of psychiatrists.
educators. Yeah,
We
educators.
educators. We spoke to, in fact, we also were able to speak to people who have been through it themselves,
Yeah,
and I think that for us made a big difference.
Yeah.
So the draft of the book, of course, we were able to share with a few people, not everyone, but yeah, it was an interesting process. Writing a book, can I just tell you, initially when we started out, we said, okay, let's write a book, and then it took us, all through. Um, it wasn't really a COVID project, though. Yeah, I mean, we keep thinking, did
No,
we
it started
get out?
earlier.
It was not. I think we already thought about it, before COVID, but being at home helped a
Helped.
little bit. I think we were able to put some more energies and focus. So yeah, that's about, yeah.
Sounds great. In fact, I was gonna ask, was this a pandemic baby? But like a lot of people, but yeah, that seems like it. So for those of you who aren't yet convinced, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna ask you guys for the elevator pitch for this book, all right? And then tell us where we can find the book or how do we get in touch for the book. Whoever wants to take this, or if both of you want to take it, go ahead.
Who,
So
me? Oh, okay. Well, I think don't just sit there thinking it's not going to happen to your family and you're sitting in a bubble. I think it's important that every single one of us is part of the personal safety awareness movement. Get yourself a copy of Safe Over Sorry. It's every kid's personal safety book. It should be part of yours as well. Yeah, that's our pitch. You can
And
and
find it
how do
on
we get it? Where do we
Amazon.
get in touch?
Yeah, you can
How
find
do
it
we
on
get in touch?
Amazon, on Flipkart, on Kindle, on iBooks, on yeah. So pretty much on all of the platforms, it's up there. It's online. It's on our website www.upturnlearning.com. Do check it out. It's a new website. We're very excited about it as well. Yes.
yeah, and I want to add, we have something called the Upturn Promise, which is why this is a movement. It is not something that we're doing as a commercial project. This is something which goes beyond that. The Upturn Promise is with every copy of Safe Over Sorry sold, we are training one underprivileged child free of cost from our side on the very same topics. So that's our mechanism of giving back. So every time somebody picks up a copy, there is a child getting trained on these sensitive topics in their language, regional language. That's why we decided to give a training program free for every copy sold, because we don't know if a book will do justice. We want to be able to reach people with their own language. So while SOS will soon be available in other regional languages, we're already offering this as a giving back mechanism from our side. So you can be part of the movement. You can sponsor books for people. You can buy it as a gift. You can sponsor a school. You can go ahead and use it as your CSR project. You can use it for the parents who work in your organization as part of your employee engagement program. So that's really what we're looking at for us to reach far and wide, Shruti.
Awesome. I think I'm sold, guys. Do go and check it out. Uh, last but definitely not the least, because we are celebrating Women's Week or month per se, quickly, if the two of you can give us perhaps local, international, whatever organizations of women that you want to shout out and throw your support towards, because I think it's really important that women show support towards women.
Okay. I think one thing is we are part of the entire IWD Choose to Challenge theme, and we'd like to go ahead and collaborate in a manner where we can be a partner for International Women's Day worldwide. So that's something Upturn has already written to IWD, and we want to be part of it. But locally, there's something I'm doing which I can shout out and say I know a lot of the IIM 10K women entrepreneurs in Bangalore. And I know each one of them have a beautiful dream. So what I do is I take off time and spend time chatting with a lot of women entrepreneurs, because there are a lot of times when we feel like giving up, right? There are a lot of women who want to do a lot, but are on the verge of giving up. So I have conversations with these women and help them carry on without giving up. That's something I would do, and that's a big shout out to the IIM 10K Women Entrepreneurs group. So the
I think there's no specific person. I think I'm just going to say For me, I think Women's Day or any day, right? I think a shout out to all parents across the world. There's no right or wrong way to parent. Everybody's doing their best, and I think keep spending time with your child. Focus, and I think it should be a journey that you enjoy and you experience. And I think that's one big part that I will say. And I think the second is everybody who helped us with the book. There
Yeah.
were a lot of mentors, a lot of advisors, a lot of women who've been part of it, and men. And I want to definitely shout out to every single one who supported us. So thank you. And yeah, and every day should really be Women's Day. I know it's a cliche, but
Yeah.
honestly, this one day is nice, but we shouldn't forget and then say, okay, let's all go back
Yeah.
to it. We should enjoy and there should be gratitude and grace every single day. So yep.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think
and quickly, sorry, just quickly, one last thing. A very special thanks to Dialogues. Dialogues is a very special place for me. I came all alone, completely lost when I met Uday for the first time. My first digital detox program was a house full and a roaring success at Dialogues. Our single parenting community took off at Dialogues. So, Dialogues is a very special place for me, and we'll always love to collaborate and support you guys in every step in the way.
I think it goes both ways. We also love to post and support you guys with the amazing work that you do. On that note, I think more power and more success to you guys. We hope SOS reaches places, and we wish you guys best of luck. And hopefully, the book will reach places. Yeah,
Thank you very much.
Yeah, hopefully we see you next Women's Day with a roaring success.
I'm sure we
yes, yes, absolutely.
All right then.
Thank you so much. Thank
thank
you
you so
guys for
much.
joining us. Have a great weekend. And I will see you guys next week on another interview with some amazing people. And until then, take care. Stay safe. See you guys.